game show that's 3 dimensions away from Dead by Daylight crossing over with Friday the 13th and being Friday the 13th by Daylight. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Dead by Daylight, released in 2016, I believe, 2017? Dead by Daylight is a game that was developed and is an asymmetrical horror game where basically players are launched into this map, and then there's one player. The players are basically third person, and the killer is first person, and the players essentially have to fix generators and escape, while the killer has to hunt them down and then wound them, and then once they're on the ground laying on the floor crawling, he has to grab them and then put them on the hook. And then once you put them on the hook, there's a chance they can escape, but most of the time the claws will come down, they'll form, and then they'll kill them and they die. And so their soul goes off the map. So the game is essentially, it's an asymmetrical horror game, and I really like this game. I played it, a friend of mine convinced me to get it, and I've been playing it, and it was just so great. When I first got the game, there's only one DLC killer, was for Silent Hill. And so I just played the game and I was just enjoying myself, we started out with these maps and it's mostly wooded areas and it kind of looks like a farmish area. And then some look like a cemetery, and then some look like swamps. And then eventually they launched with DLC maps, they launched with Haddonfield from Halloween. And then the Nightmare on Elm Street map, which is the preschool. And they also had one a laboratory. And then they also launched with a Resident Evil map, which is the police station. And just and they had a Texas Chainsaw map where it's just a giant field. And so they have several maps in the game that are really cool. I really liked that when we got killers, when we got victims rather than killers, because the killers, I hated that, you get killers in the first person. And then the victims were first person. The game is meant to survive. And there are ways you can find the victims, especially there are perks that, you can get that are rare. Now, you don't get these perks every game, but you can get the perks, once in a while you can find them, because, if you just get the perk every time, that would be easy. But, there are also perks where you can find the killer, especially if, there are certain perks you can level up where you can see where the killer's at, or, when the killer kills somebody or puts them on a hook, then you can, it'll ping the killer for 3 seconds. Or whenever you put someone on a hook, it'll ping the person, all the victims. And every time the killer gets close to you, your heart starts beating. You'll feel a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. It means the killer's getting really close and the music's revving up. And so then you just have to go oh shit, I gotta get out of here. And then you run away. And so that's what's so great about it, because you're oh my god, am I gonna die? And then the killer will chase after you. But the thing is, the killer's only first person, so you could hide in lockers. You could jump over boards. And so, it's just so great, there's lattices you can jump over. And so, I really like about the game. There also is, the game is, it's very much a team effort, because if all your teammates die in the game, then basically you have to find, there's a trap door where you'll hear a glowing, a tingling sound, and you'll find you can open escape in the hatch if you're the sole survivor. Now, if you get all the generators fixed, then your exit will ping for 10 seconds. Then you got to go find the exit yourself. And then a lot of times the killer will be camping out of there, or you'll basically be running I'm just screwed. That's happened to me before. I was running to the exit and the killer was there, and then they chased me and killed me. And there's stuff like that. It's funny trolling the killer though. It's a really great game. I do like that. How they bring in DLC kills like Scream and Hellraiser and Resident Evil, and they also bring in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Michael Myers and stuff like that. And I really like that in Saw, especially the Saw. I think is the coolest one, because you put a bear trap on their face, and then you have to go around to the jigsaw things and get the thing off their face. I like having Ash as a character in the game. I think he's cool. I don't like one thing is, I feel like Dead by Daylight is not good with facial capturing, because none of the DLC characters, the people, look like them. Ash looks more like Mitt Romney than he does Bruce Campbell. Evil Dead the game, he looks just like him. But when Dead by Daylight looks like Mitt Romney. And also, that does not look like Laurie Strode. Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't look like, Laurie Strode does not look like Jamie Lee Curtis. Sorry. And also, Quentin doesn't look like Cal Gadden. Detective Tapp looks nothing like Danny Glover. I would say probably the closest is probably Quentin from Nightmare on Elm Street remake, but everybody else just looks like they don't look. Now I understand why. It's because it's kind of like it's because licensing fees, okay? Because an actor's likeness, you can't use an actor's likeness in perpetuity. So, for instance, a killer in a mask, you can use them because you like they don't have to pay the actors that play Scream or the actor that plays Jason because that's just someone under a hockey mask. You know, the hockey mask is what you're paying for. And essentially, so if you use like Laurie Strode, which is Jamie Lee Curtis, you can't really show Jamie Lee Curtis' face because then you'll have to pay Jamie Lee Curtis a likeness fee and all that stuff. And if she says no, you know, then she could sue you if you use her face. Like that's, you know, sometimes when you sign a contract it says in perpetuity. Like Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher, they can use their likeness because it's in perpetuity, meaning that they own, like, you know, Mark Hamill's likeness, and so they can use him on toys and all that stuff. Versus like Christian Bale, who when he made Terminator Salvation, he said, I don't want my likeness to be used on the toys, or I don't want my likeness being used in the video game or anything like that. So they just had to make toys with John Connor's face covered, and then they made him look nothing like he does in the video game. Like, he just looks more like Sam Witwer from Jedi Force Unleashed than he does actually Christian Bale. And that's because, you know, you don't give your likeness away. And that right now is why the Nun actress is suing Warner Bros. Because they're using her likeness, all this merchandise and stuff, and not paying her for it. And she goes, my face is on all the covers. And they're trying to argue, well, the Nun's face says, you, not your face. Well, like, I look like the Nun! Except you put white makeup on and eyes, and like CGI my eyes, that's me! You know, and so I think that's what it is. It's like, you know, and so like, you know, obviously Danny Glover, they'd have to pay Danny Glover, Lionsgate would, and they'd have to pay, you know, obviously Kyle Gallner and everybody's, and Bruce Campbell. So they're like, look, this is what we're going to do. Just make them not look like the characters. Even though Bruce Campbell voices himself. I think, honestly, that Bruce Campbell's the closest, but I mean, really, like, you're paying for Bruce Campbell anyway, might as well. I mean, but I think because it's a long run, that's why right now with Stranger Things, I like the map on Stranger Things, but they just recently removed it because they lost the licensing for Stranger Things to Netflix because, you know, because they don't own, Netflix does not own Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is an independent studio, which means whenever that you have like a so many year contract, which I would say 2019 is like what, 3 or 4 year contract, meaning that look, you only have this for 3 or 4 year contract with them for Stranger Things season 3, and so season 4 is coming up, so that means that contract ends. So they're like, all right, well, we have to, you know, take the map and everything away, but if you bought the DLC characters, you can keep them. And so, you know, as for, you know, people who purchased it, I mean, as for the map's gone forever. And so they just lost recently, I think, Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, it's been a while since I played the game, but like Freddy Krueger, if you did not pay for Freddy Krueger, you basically lost Freddy Krueger. And they took away the map for that too, because that's what sucks about licensed characters, because if you don't own, like, if the studio does not own your company, then that means they could take that away from you, because they're like, you don't own this, and we basically gave you so many years. And I think that's what sucks about licensed content. Especially, like, I'm pretty sure eventually they're going to take Resident Evil away, and they're going to take Ash away, which, you know, and this guy going to take Scream away and stuff. And so, yeah, that's what really sucks about that, especially Michael Myers. And so, I really think that really sucks about licensed content in the games. Although the game's really fun. I mean, it's a really fun game, you know, especially when Michael Myers comes after you, hear the Halloween theme, like, duh, 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 duh. You know, and that's really cool. And I think that's really cool that, you know, it's giving you the immersion of playing this. Especially, you know, with Hellraiser, you know, it's like Pinhead, you know, and it's trying to chain you up. I mean, it's really great. It is a really great game, and I really enjoy, especially customizing my character. And I enjoy, you know, like escaping. It makes you feel accomplishment in this game. I do not like the killer. I think the killer is my least favorite aspect of the game, because it just is a first-person thing, and it's like I'm paying for this character just to watch him in first person. Like, to me, at least in Friday the 13th, the game, when I play as it, I can actually see the character I'm customized as. And I just think that's one of the biggest downside of this game. It's just like with Predator Hunting Grounds, which a game I will eventually cover on the channel. It's just whenever I'm playing as Predator Hunting Grounds, when I'm playing as the fire team, I'm like, I'm in first person, so this kind of sucks because I'm customizing my character, but I can't see my character. Although I understand why I'm first person Predator, because it's more like a Call of Duty feel, versus the Predator is in third person. And I'm just like, I kind of wish that they would, you know, make it third person as well, but I understand the immersion of Call of Duty. And I just feel like that's one thing I kind of wish that, you know, they would have done Dead by Daylight, make the killer you're paying for it, might as well get third person. And you should give you an option you want to be first person. But I think they do it because they give the killer an unfair advantage. I think that's why. But I really enjoy this game. It's on it's really cheap. You can probably get it on the PlayStation Plus Premium. If you want to play, it's a great game. If I had to give this game a score, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Thank you so much.